What's up, Lions Nation? Welcome back to Lions News Fan Report, your home for the freshest updates, breaking news, and deep dive analysis on our beloved Detroit Lions. I'm here to bring you everything you need to know about what's happening with our team. And trust me when I say what I'm about to share with you today is going to shake things up in ways you might not expect. Something massive is brewing in Detroit, something that could completely transform the identity of this football team moving forward. The front office has been working behind closed doors, and the whispers coming out of Allen Park are getting louder by the hour. We're talking about a potential game changer, a move that could address one of our most critical needs and set us up for a serious championship run. I know you're probably thinking about the defense, about the edge rush situation, about the secondary concerns we've all been screaming about since Aiden Hutchinson went down. But hold on, because what I'm about to reveal takes us in a completely different direction, one that might surprise you, but makes absolute sense when you really break it down. So stick with me through this entire video because I'm going to walk you through everything piece by piece, and by the end you're going to understand exactly why this could be the move that defines our season. Let me take you back to Week 9 against the Minnesota Vikings. We all remember that game, right? The heartbreak of losing at home, falling to 5-3, watching our division lead get threatened by a Vikings team that just wouldn't go away. But beyond the final score, beyond the defensive struggles that everyone has been talking about nonstop, something else happened that game that flew under the radar for a lot of people. Christian Mahogany went down with a broken ankle, and just like that, our offensive line depth took a massive hit. Head coach Dan Campbell came out on Monday and told us what we were all afraid to hear. Mahogany is going to be out for a long time. Now, I know what you're thinking. We've got depth. We've got guys who can step up. We've been one of the best offensive lines in football for the past couple years. And you're absolutely right about that history. But here's the reality check we all need to face. This year's offensive line hasn't been the same dominant force we watched steamroll defenses in 2023 and 2024. The unit has taken a step back, and losing Mahogany only exposes how thin we really are at the guard position. The Lions did make a move to address this by signing rookie guard Jack Conley to the practice squad ahead of the 4 p.m. Eastern deadline. Candace Pedraza from Fansided reported that this signals the team is likely going to slide either Tristan Cullen or Kingsley Egwukin into the starting lineup for Week 10. Now, I've got nothing against these guys. They're professionals, they work hard, and they're going to give everything they've got for this team. But let's be honest with ourselves here. Are we really comfortable going into the most critical stretch of our season relying on practice squad elevations and backup guards who haven't proven they can hold up against elite defensive fronts? This is where championship windows can close in an instant. One injury, one weak link in the trenches, and suddenly our Super Bowl aspirations are in jeopardy. We've seen it happen to other teams year after year, and I refuse to sit back and watch it happen to us without at least exploring every possible option to prevent it. And this brings me to the heart of what I want to talk about today, the move that could change everything for the Detroit Lions. During the trade deadline period, the Cleveland Browns were quietly shopping two of their most accomplished offensive linemen, Joel Bitonio and Wyatt Teller. These aren't just average guards we're talking about. These are multiple-time Pro Bowlers, elite talents who have been anchoring one of the most physical offensive lines in football for years. Bitonio has been selected to the Pro Bowl 4 times and is widely regarded as one of the best guards in the entire NFL. Teller is a mauler in the run game, a powerful presence who can create massive holes for running backs and provide rock-solid pass protection. Together, they represent exactly the kind of veteran leadership and proven production that could stabilize our offensive line and give us the foundation we desperately need moving forward. Now, here's where the speculation gets really interesting. The Lions chose not to pursue Bitonio or Teller at the trade deadline, instead opting to stand pat and rely on internal options. But just because the trade deadline has passed doesn't mean the conversation is over. We're entering a phase where creative roster management and strategic planning could still bring one or both of these players to Detroit. The Browns are in full rebuild mode, sitting at the bottom of the AFC North with no realistic playoff hopes. They're going to be making difficult decisions about their roster construction, about which veterans they want to keep around and which ones they might be willing to part with to accumulate draft capital and create salary cap flexibility. This is where Brad Holmes and our front office could strike. Imagine for a moment what our offensive line would look like with Joel Bitonio and Wyatt Teller in the mix. You'd have two proven, battle-tested guards who know how to win in the trenches, who understand the physicality required to dominate in January football, who can mentor our younger players while also performing at an elite level themselves. The impact would be immediate and profound. Jared Goff would have more time in the pocket, cleaner throwing lanes, and better protection on third downs. Our running game, which has been inconsistent at times this season, would get back to that punishing, physical style that defines Dan Campbell football. David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs would be running behind a wall of Pro Bowl talent, and defenses would have no answer for the power and athleticism we'd be bringing to every single snap. From a scheme perspective, both Bitonio and Teller fit perfectly with what offensive coordinator Ben Johnson wants to do. They're versatile enough to execute zone-blocking schemes, powerful enough to drive defenders off the ball in gap concepts, and intelligent enough to handle complex protection adjustments against exotic blitz packages. These aren't projects or developmental players. These are finished products, guys who have been doing this at the highest level for years and would require minimal adjustment period. You plug them into the lineup, and immediately your offensive line goes from a question mark to a position of strength. Now, I know some of you are probably wondering about the logistics of how this could actually happen. The trade deadline has passed, so we can't make a traditional trade until next off-season, but there are other avenues to explore. If the Browns decide to release either player to create cap space, the Lions could be first in line to sign them as free agents. We could also work out a deal for the offseason, getting ahead of other teams and securing commitments now that would be executed once the league year turns over. Brad Holmes has shown time and time again that he's willing to be aggressive and creative when the right opportunity presents itself. This front office traded for Zadarius Smith last year at the deadline, showing they're not afraid to make bold moves when they believe it elevates the roster. The fact that they didn't pull the trigger on Bitonio or Teller during the deadline doesn't mean they're not interested. It might simply mean the price wasn't right, or the timing wasn't optimal, or they're playing the long game and waiting for a better opportunity to present itself. What really stands out to me about this potential move is how perfectly it aligns with Dan Campbell's philosophy and personality. Coach Campbell is aggressive by nature. We see it in his play calling, in his fourth down decisions, in the way he builds this team's culture around toughness and physicality. The man literally told us he wanted to bite kneecaps when he first got here, and he's backed it up with actions ever since. So it was actually surprising to see the Lions remain relatively quiet at the trade deadline, especially given the obvious needs on both sides of the ball. That's not the Dan Campbell we know. That's not the aggressive attack mentality approach that has defined this organization's resurgence, which makes me believe even more strongly that something is being planned, that moves are being considered, that the front office is working angles we can't see yet, but will become clear in the coming weeks and months. The offensive line is the foundation of everything we want to do as a football team. It's how we establish our identity, how we control the clock, how we protect our franchise quarterback, and how we impose our will on opponents in the fourth quarter of tight games. When your offensive line is dominant, everything else becomes easier. Play-action passes are more effective because defenses have to respect the run. Screen passes work better because you have athletic linemen who can get out in space. Your quarterback stays healthy because he's not taking unnecessary hits. Your running backs stay fresh because they're not getting hit behind the line of scrimmage on every carry. It all starts up front, and investing in elite guard play with proven commodities like Joel Bitonio and Wyatt Teller would be an absolute game changer for this franchise. Let's also talk about the leadership and experience these guys would bring to the locker room. Both Bitonio and Teller have been through the wars in the AFC North, one of the most physical divisions in football. They've faced the Pittsburgh Steelers' defensive fronts, the Baltimore Ravens' aggressive schemes, and the Cincinnati Bengals' talented defensive lines twice a year for their entire careers. They know what it takes to win in brutal physical games where the margin for error is razor thin. That kind of experience is invaluable, especially for a Lions team that's still building its championship pedigree. We've had success the past 2 years winning the NFC North, but we're trying to take that next step to become a team that not only makes the playoffs but goes deep into January and competes for a Super Bowl. Adding veterans who have been there, who understand the pressure and the intensity of playoff football, would accelerate that process dramatically. The financial aspect of this potential move is also worth considering. Both Bitonio and Teller are on contracts that could be restructured or negotiated to fit within our salary cap structure. Brad Holmes has done an excellent job managing the cap, creating flexibility, while also investing in key positions. If the Browns are willing to eat some salary, or if we can work out a team-friendly deal, bringing in one or both of these guards becomes even more realistic. And when you consider the alternative, which is rolling with inexperienced backups or practice squad elevations at a critical position, the investment makes even more sense. This is our championship window right now, with Jared Goff playing at a high level, with our skill position players in their prime, with a defense that just needs a few more pieces to be elite. We can't afford to waste this opportunity by being conservative or hoping that unproven players will magically develop into quality starters overnight. So here's where we stand as Lions fans heading into the most important stretch of the season. We've got a team that's talented enough to compete with anyone in the NFC. What do you think about the possibility of bringing in Joel Bitonio and Wyatt Teller? Do you believe this is the kind of move we need to make to solidify our championship aspirations? Are you comfortable with our current offensive line depth, or do you think we need to be more aggressive in addressing this position? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because I read every single one, and I love hearing different perspectives from passionate Lions fans like yourselves. And if you enjoyed this deep dive analysis and want to stay on top of every development with the Detroit Lions, make sure you're subscribed to Lions News Fan Report and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. I'm bringing you the latest news, the most detailed breakdowns, and insider perspectives you won't find anywhere else. This is your home for everything Lions, and I'm committed to keeping you informed and engaged throughout this entire season and beyond. Let's keep this momentum going. Let's keep believing in what this team can accomplish, and let's ride this wave all the way to a championship. One Pride, Lions Nation, and I'll see you in the next video.